WB Southampton LLC, 132 McGee Street.
I propose that we accept this decision as submitted.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Case number 2814, Carol I. Lynn, 196 Hill Street.
I move we accept this decision as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Case number 2815, Harkonnen LLC and Atreides LLC, 408 Persnick Lane.
I move we accept this decision as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to jump out of order for just a minute and go down to cases 2820, 2821, and 2822. Those three cases are a package. So we have a decision that covers those three cases in one decision.
I move we accept these three decision as proposed.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, does anyone have a copy of the Harkonnen?
Yeah, I have it.
Thank you, Jerry.
Takes us down to the pending cases, the first one being 500 Old Town LLC, 500 Old Town Road. Is anybody here for the applicant?
Bob Smith, Squires and Holden. I believe the package has been submitted, and we had some comments last time from Mr. Voorhees, which we've addressed. I don't know, is there any other questions, but if there are, I'm more than willing to try and answer them.
Good. Did you have anything else?
Yeah, we did have a couple of questions. We did receive some materials, and I prepared a memo because I thought it would be helpful. And this particular project it's really just landscaping within 125 feet east of Old Town Road. And, you know, environmentally, it's just more devil is in the detail type of thing. So Bob did provide calculations, but we had a couple of questions with respect to that. How the driveway would be handled, because it seemed as though it's proposed to be impervious, but there's drainage provided with no calculations shown. And maybe we're just misreading the plans, or maybe we can sort it out with a call, but I was not clear on that. So I had that in the notations. The erosion control plan was fine. But we did feel the driveway plan should include construction impervious material specifications, drainage calcs, runoff coefficient, and storage provided. And also some type of indication if there would be drainage for the patio area.
Around the pool, you mean, or behind the house?
Both.
Or both, okay.
They're fairly large areas. And one other thing, just for coordination purposes, is this is over an acre, so it does require a SWIP. In this case, it's primarily erosion control, but we want to make sure that we contain 2 inches over the disturbed areas of the site. So there wasn't an effort made, a plan was submitted, but a couple of the details still need to be worked out.
Okay.
So that I'm sure we can take care of very readily. We didn't receive anything on demolition, debris handling, and construction management techniques.
I believe that building's
Is there
already...
something submitted, Bob?
No, I don't know the answer to that. I know that it's already gone. So, I mean...
That's true, the work has been
It has been
conducted.
completed, so
Right.
to get back to how it was done, I'm sure we can back that up.
We don't want to back up, we can
Yeah.
move forward. As I said, the erosion control plan was satisfactory. And then at the last meeting, I know Mr. Hollander was here, and we had asked about the fescue mix. Common names were provided for 3 different fescues, but this is actually pretty important because a couple of fescues are invasive, and the common names just aren't enough for us to tell if that's an issue. So we'd like the scientific name of the fescues. And then there was one other note with respect to some of the shrubs. that the viburnum dentatum is fine, but the note still reads other shrubs could be utilized. So we think the EG referencing other shrubs should be removed. And those were it. I just thought to help facilitate things, I did prepare a memo, and, you know, with the board's discretion, you know, I'd be more than happy to do a call with Mr. Hollander, Mr. Smith, get everything wrapped up, and, you know, I don't see any major issues here. It's just a few little details.
Can I make a comment as the owner of the property? I'm working late, I didn't realize it would be so soon.
Up there, yeah, please.
I'm Bruce
So we know who
Lifton.
you are from the camera.
Absolutely, I'm Bruce Lifton of Lifton Green. We're the owners of the property under Old Town LLC, 500 Old Town LLC. It's my understanding, first of all, the fescue mix suggestion has been in the building department for several weeks. I have no problem with the conference call. What I was hoping, though, is perhaps, I mean, I don't mind agreeing to whatever it is that needs to be there, but we've been here for several months at this point, and it's hurting us, and whatever the village wants, I've been doing this for 20 years out here, most people know me, I'm happy to do whatever it is needs to be done, but to go another month really hurts me. So what I was hoping is that we could agree with whatever it is that needs to be done there and get us approved subject to submitting that, and I have no problem with that. But to wait another month really hurts me, and we answered the two things that we understood the village wanted, and it's been in the village for a period of time now.
Only last month and today we're here.
I think we were here one other time, but I could be incorrect. I've been incorrect
It
before.
started up last month, is my recollection as well.
Okay.
The second time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chip,
It's
one
not
thing,
in-
And the hearing hadn't even been closed at the last meeting, I don't
No.
think.
one thing you brought up was parking. It seems like a big enough lot where that the condition that all construction parking be on the property, because that's sort of a busy road between there and the pond.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that Bob Smith was saying, was that this work has already, for the most part, been completed. But we can certainly ask.
And I'm happy to agree to that right now. It's fine. It's 2 acres. You know, we all kind of bang into each other and move around and manage, but we'll do it again. It's just from what I understand last time we were here, they wanted to see the mix of the fescues and the drainage, and I thought that we had met the drainage. If we didn't, whatever we need to increase, we agree to it without you even telling me. Because at the end of the day, it's not really a big deal. A lot of people here have built homes before. It's not a big deal to do it. It's a big deal not to, as far as the village and the erosion and all that, but it's not a big deal for me to agree to do it. You're talking about a couple dollars in the scheme of things. I have no issue with that. So, to me, whatever it is that's wanted between the grasses and the drainage, I'm happy to agree to. You know, if we could just have a conference call, whatever's agreed to, we'll submit it.
Be named, don't they have to be specified?
Yeah, the exact
They are
scientific
named, but-
names of the grasses, so that we don't get invasives or something. that shouldn't
They
be.
are named on the plan, though. Okay, well, not named specific. Okay, so
Right.
I have no problem changing that. But
Could you, I don't know, could you do a decision and then subject to a CO to proper drainage and planting plan, or?
When we do a wetland special permit, it has all the specifics right in it and references to plans, et cetera. We can't do that without,
may I just point out that there's a road and parking across the street. It's not that we're right on the water, not minimizing the impact and the importance of it, but there's a road, there's a busy road, as we just commented about. There's parking across the street. So is this something that needs to hold us up, or we can just agree that whatever it is that's needed, we're happy to agree to? I have no issue with that.
It seems that they have to be specified. We always like things in writing, so.
No, we would submit it in writing.
We know what we did
We would submit it in writing. That I have no, that of course, that's a given to me.
before we make a decision.
Close for decision and have it all presented by the work session?
We'd be happy to work with the applicant, get everything ready. I don't really see a way, and based on what Rick said, we have never before done one subject to without having plans to reference and so forth. But we'll certainly facilitate it and work with the applicant and get everything polished up so that it's ready next time.
They know the questions now, right?
Yeah, and the memo hopefully will help, and I'll follow up with Bob tomorrow and get everything ready.
We should keep it open, then, I would think, right? Or you want to close it for decision based on what you get?
That's fine with me, subject to any further comments.
Keep it open or close it for decision?
It should be kept open because we don't know what they're going to submit and whether it will be satisfactory to check. But
Well, I'm going to submit what he wants.
if it,
I'd be a fool not to. I don't mean to be
I
that.
know that, but we
some of
have
what
to
he
see
asked
it.
for has not yet been submitted. There can be misunderstandings, confusions, or whatever. If you get everything in before the work session, then Chick has the opportunity to review it, and we can do a decision next month, even though it's not on for decision.
Won't really make a difference.
But it was not on for decision tonight, and there's no decision ready, and
All right.
it
I
can't
had
happen
to ask the
tonight.
question. All right, thank you very much, Board. I appreciate it.
Is there anything else from the board? Rick, you anything else?
No.
Chick,
Nothing further on that.
anybody out in the audience would like to be heard to this application? Therefore, can I have a motion to hold it open for the citizens?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, it should be subject to submission of the information requested by our environmental consultant.
You could make note of the memo that was submitted for the file and given to the applicant.
Next case being 2818 SH Meadow Lane LLC, 715 Meadow Lane.
Evening for the applicant, Gilbert G. Flanagan, 21 South Main Street, Stedovich, of the same address for the applicant. As you may remember, this is a request for a wetland special permit and, if necessary, a rear yard variance to allow the reconstruction of, to the construction of a new residence at the property that's the subject of the application. We presented, I think, the large majority of what we needed to present at the last meeting. The board and the consultant had some requests for clarifications and additional information, which I believe was submitted. I can tell you that Mr. Voorhees has been very helpful. There were a couple of questions he had after the submission we made for the work session, and I believe that we hopefully have addressed those. But just to refresh you as to what you were looking for at the last meeting, the technical thing that I was asked to provide was copies of the deeds for both the subject parcel and the parcel to the west of it, which is controlled by the applicants, which I submitted at the end of May. You also requested that we refine and amend the landscape plan to reflect the treatment of the area where the former sanitary system was, to show that its grade would be established to match the adjoining grade. There were a couple of notes on the landscaping plan that needed to be corrected. And I think that was it for that. There was also a question about showing compliance with the Meadow Lane Overlay District Pyramid Law guidelines, which we submitted on June 9th and then supplemented earlier today. Plans dated June 24th, which were also forwarded to Mr. Voorhees. In addition, we provided a fairly detailed construction methodology prepared by Ben Krapinski's office. And one of the additional things we were asked to provide was information concerning any buried fuel tanks on the property. And what we have submitted to you, you should have in your package now, is a letter from Eastern Environmental Solutions that indicated that there were 2 above-ground oil tanks which were subsequently properly removed and disposed of. So I think that that's fairly much it. That's a summary of it. I just want to remind you again that as a result of this project and combining it with the lot next door, there will be a net reduction in overall lot coverage. There will be a significant increase in the amount of natural vegetation. And as a result of the project, we will be sterilizing forever from future development of the westerly lot with the residents. So I think I've said enough. If you have any questions or want any clarification, Melissa's here. She can be more technical than I can. Thank you.
Do you have any questions? No. Rick?
I think we've received everything that we've asked for. Chick will confirm that, so we can adjourn it for decision.
Yeah, the one thing if Gil mentioned it, forgive me, but there was also the removal of the pier on the adjacent property that the board was.
Mentioned last month, right?
Yes, it was mentioned last month. So we did receive everything, most of it prior to the work session. A few things came in this week. We did have the opportunity to review it, and we have no further questions. I think the next step is we've provided Rick with the wetland special permit conditions, and you're going to prepare the overall decision
Yes.
with reference to that. So nothing further from me.
We ran around the audience like we heard to this application. Therefore, we're gonna hold this for decision, right?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the application, case number 2819, 450 Gin Lane, LLC, 450 Gin Lane.
Good evening to the applicant, John Bennett and Melissa Dedovich from Beconic Environmentals here, as well as Ian Hanback. Melissa did, on June 17th, provide a very comprehensive and thorough response to Chick's May 22nd, 2014 memo. Hopefully we've addressed to both Chick's satisfaction and the board's satisfaction the contents of that memo. I'll highlight one or two things, maybe three or four things, and then if you have any additional questions, you can, as it relates to the planting, you could speak Ian would address them, or any other concerns. I'm sure between Ian and Melissa, they will be able to satisfy you. There was some concern about the size of the parking area in the north of the property, so we did reduce that from 45 by 50 to 40 by 40 and moved it an additional 11 feet further away from the wetlands, which again have a road in between. There's a road in between, Gin is in between the house and the wetlands, but nevertheless the law applies. And we lowered it, so that cut back on some of the fill, reduced by about 222 cubic yards of fill. There were some concerns about some of the plantings that were being used. Some of them, I guess, were non-native, and I think we have taken care of all of those. Chick will correct me on that. I think the only concern we had, and Ian could speak to this if you feel it's necessary, there was a thought of putting red maples to replace the proposed Cleveland pears, and Ian is the concern of the thought that those wouldn't do so well because of the salt exposure, and there was a request to put London plain there instead, because I know they do very well down there. Anyone who drives down or runs down, as I do, was that Wicker Park or Wyandanch? I always confuse those two. It has the L.A. of London plane trees. Is that Wyandanch? Wyandanch, yeah. So they do very well down there. But yeah, I think hopefully we've satisfied everybody's concerns. I'll leave Ian and Melissa to respond to any more specific comments that Chick had, or the board has, obviously.
John, is this the new one?
That's the new survey, but I think the planting plan is probably more. I assume that's the new survey.
New survey, June 16th.
The last revision date on there, June 16th.
What do you have for what should we have? I don't know if I have the latest.
Planting plan?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the survey.
Everything's.
Yeah, we submitted everything. You want to? Do we have the? Is that on the board?
Dated what,
Yeah,
though?
just bring it up on the board. Ian. was a big silence there for a while. It reminded me, unfortunately, of the silence that used to occur before my dad got really mad at me.
Contemplative silence. I'd say probably the construction methodology is the least pertinent.
So, you want to take the board through some of the replacements that,
Yeah.
in response to Chick's memo?
Yeah, I think it was pretty straightforward. The Callery pear, or the Cleveland pear, was replaced with the London plane tree in all locations. The boxwood hedge that was proposed around the court was replaced with an Ilex glabra hedge, which is, of course, native. And then we further elaborated on the fescue mix, and instead of calling that just red fescue, we specified the hard fescue, the longifolia, the red fescue, the creeping fescue, as well as the ovine and the sheep fescue. And those percentages, they vary depending on the supplier, but I imagine they're about equal.
Yeah, the mix is fine. Percentages will vary.
And the parking
Yeah, we did pull
adjustment,
that.
is that shown on the one, original versus the updated?
Yeah, I don't think we have the original on here, but
I
I could draw it. I'm happy to draw it.
I have it in the file if you wanted to take it out. It was the
It'd be
parking.
nice to be able to compare side by side.
That was
Okay.
really the major issue that the board wanted to
That's true.
see how much
Let me see what I have
reduced
for you.
and condensed and
Is that before and after?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So let's flip that around.
The court was originally, I believe, 45 by 50 feet, and is now 40 by 40.
Yeah, you can see this buffer between the parking and the structure was reduced.
Originally, it was what?
It was
45 by 50,
And now it's 40 by 40. And we also scooched it back about, what was another?
11 feet.
From the wetlands. So here's the before and after. Can I?
You can draw them.
So you can see it's been reduced to good size. We've got some constraints there, so parking becomes an issue. I understand, and I guess I shouldn't say this, but I understand and agree why the board was concerned about it that size, so we've tried to take it down quite a bit, moving it further away from the wetlands and taking quite a bit of square footage out of it.
Increasing that wetland buffer as well.
Yeah, from this to, it's much larger over there.
So it's just a question of the board.
So you get a little bit more screening between the parking area and the road.
Plus, we were able to, instead of bringing as much fill as we originally were going to do, because within 125 feet, we've dropped the whole parking court. Chick was amenable to us using a little retaining wall up here. So by doing that, it went from 400, it was a net drop of
222 cubic
220.
feet.
Yep,
Uh,
that was a
You
big
you
drop.
reduce
by
that.
about half.
Within, yeah.
You looked at the drainage pit plan for the driveway, so
we did, yes. I know one of the suggestions at the last meeting was to move the road, perhaps flip the parking to the south side and pull back that way. Obviously, the applicant studied that and may want to comment on why that couldn't be accomplished, but I guess it's being represented to us that this is about as much as they can do with still keeping some of their design goals.
Well, it was actually about the radius of the turn.
Yeah, the functionality.
The
of that.
functionality of trying to get in and having the parking over here was too tight. But I know Ian did study that for a while.
So from a design point of view, you've got to have the appropriate turning radius then.
it's definitely better.
Yeah.
It's an improvement, reduced fill, very good wetland restoration plan. There's already a structure on the property. It is across the street from Old Town Pond. There's
Put the
only native
wall in so they could
species.
lower the whole parking field.
Everything's come down and they've reduced the size of it. So we did want to, obviously bring it back to the board to see if this was sufficient. It seems, again, with their representation that they really can't do any more and still meet proper design goals. It's ultimately up to the board.
Yeah, we're pretty pushed up against that coastal erosion hazard area and the dune crest setback. Really, they sort of truncate the allowable area for development on the property. So.
We are setting back then more so than the current structure.
Oh yeah, that's right.
have a bunch of, I guess we have a garden shed. There are about 4 legal structures, I believe, within this front area that are being removed. And I believe at the last hearing, too, we cited how much impervious surface is currently here that's all being removed.
Go ahead.
I think they have a
Yeah,
yeah, there's a couple of the survey that you have will, you know, the as-built there's a couple of sheds right up on the property line, a lot of, you know, concrete driveway. So, there are 3 sheds actually in the front row, much closer to the wetlands, and a big pad of, you know, impervious concrete. So I think net it works out a lot better, particularly with the additional reduction of, or with the reduction of the parking area in the fill.
Did you, on, I guess, building methodology, parking, all that, bond, all that kind of stuff is
that had been submitted.
all
and
done, is
The
good?
applicant can certainly comment, but that was reviewed and satisfactory.
Okay.
No, that's what we expected. Good policy, obviously.
Silent again, John.
Somebody's mad at
Got
you.
quiet again.
Oh, yeah, I am. Making me nervous. Yeah.
Any more questions?
No,
Questions?
Chick, do you have anything else?
no further questions.
You ran around the audience like you heard of this application. No. Therefore, we are.
Well, because we received these materials, early, and we're able to review them with sufficient time, not knowing exactly what would happen tonight and how the board felt, we did take the liberty of drafting conditions. If the board was comfortable with this, we had all the plans, all the dates. They did address all of the comments we had at the last meeting. So if you are inclined to move ahead with it, I do have draft conditions for your consideration.
Talking about closing this for decision, or
That would be the first step.
Chick has the stuff for a decision prepared,
you do that?
Wetland special permit,
so we could do it now if you wanted to, or
It's
you,
fine.
You've got
okay,
June, Chris.
yeah, I know.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, let me word this one because it has one other thing in it. Okay. Okay. We adopt the negative declaration prepared by our environmental consultant. We grant the wetland special permit prepared by our environmental consultant. And we grant a setback variance from the crest of the dune for the portion of the proposed sanitary system located within 100 feet of the crest of the dune. Somebody can just so move if you want
That's
to.
it.
So moved.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Did you hand up one for the file?
I did, everybody had a copy, and there's one for, John has one
I have
too.
one. You must have an extra one. That's fine. And they have the decisions. Oh, you just dictated.
I just dictated.
Come out in the minutes.
All right. Thank you. Members, thank you.
Thank you for your responsiveness. Guess what?
You're leaving.
I am.
You're always abandoning us.
A very short night.
Okay, Chick.
Good luck for you. Thanks a lot.
I think we'll be all right.
You'll be all right?
I think so.
It'll be okay.
It's like a rough crowd, but not that bad.
On the new cases, case number 2823, Andrew Starr, 14 Layton Avenue.
The affidavits.
The mailing and the posting.
We just approved the whole thing, right?
And we have proof of that.
What?
Whom do we have?
Whom do we have? My name is Mary Rose Riley from the firm Ione Renaissance Associates, 732 Smithtown Bypass in Smithtown. Agent for the applicant, Andrew Starr, who's the owner of 14 Layton Avenue, Southampton. Tonight we're requesting variances to construct the following: a 50 square foot north-facing front covered porch with a proposed front yard setback of 2411, where 40-foot front yard is required. A full dormer addition to the existing home, where the front yard setback is 32'9" instead of the 40-foot required. The dormer is set in from the existing perimeter of the house on all four sides. A 575 square foot rear deck, where the proposed setback is 14 and the required is 25 feet. And to reconstruct and reduce an existing non-conforming garage to a 187 square foot pool house with a side yard setback of 8.9 and a rear yard setback of 7.2 feet, where those required setbacks are 10 feet each. To the left, the east side of Mr. Starr's property, there are two-story condominiums.
Okay, could I
Go
just
ahead.
interrupt at this point? The only thing that I have in my packet from the work session is a survey.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything else? Okay,
Yeah, he does.
I have photographs and plans.
okay, just hold on. So
In
the
the file
survey,
copy, we have a lot of stuff.
the survey does not show what you're proposing. So,
It's on the A1 sheet of the plans that are probably in your file.
I don't know if we have those or not, I don't.
I
You
don't.
just held them up?
They're in the file.
Just passed them up.
And I don't know if there's enough, we only have 3 copies in here, I'll see. Supposed to have 8. This is A1.
Yes.
Looks like there may be 3 packages in the file. There's another A1
I have extra sets here.
and another A1. We have 3 A1s in the file, but they didn't go to the board members.
Are they the same as in
No, the
these,
attorney.
except smaller?
Yes.
Correct.
Did you have 8 of these?
I have extra 4 sets.
How many did you pass up already?
2.
Okay, let's go one thing at a time, otherwise this is gonna be too confusing.
Sure.
All this stuff should have been submitted with the application.
Well, we were told we could submit 4 sets and then have 4 mini sets additional.
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying all we got was the survey. And the survey does not even show what you're proposing to do, so from our work session, we know nothing about your application.
I'm a little
Can I ask a
confused.
ridiculous question? How are we on the calendar if there is not a full application in?
Okay.
You can be on the calendar without sufficient.
But what I'm trying to find out is, first of all, do we have plans, whether it's a site plan or an architect's plan
Yes.
or anything, that shows what you're proposing?
Yes.
Yes, it was
Including
submitted.
the setbacks.
Correct.
Yes, it was submitted.
But not
That's
enough
this,
copies were
that
submitted.
he has.
They didn't tell us.
This is 8 copies, so each board
They
member
told
gets
us
one,
4.
the attorney gets one, there's one for the file.
They told us 4.
Been 8 since
Well,
time immemorial.
Yeah.
My
It's on the
apologies to you
application.
then. Yes, I understand that. They told us 4. They said, don't waste the paper, print 4, and bring 4 mini sets. So my apologies to you, gentlemen.
Well, it's not your fault, that's what
I'm-
they told you.
Do you have any extras of the site plan?
Yes.
Yes.
I have 2 extras.
Okay.
We have mini sets. Would you like mini sets?
They're a little hard to read. Would you prefer a larger?
How many of the larger ones do you
We have
have?
3.
Okay, why don't you give me one, and then you'll have a couple for the file,
Okay.
and let's all get a mini set.
Right, so I have a mini set.
You have a mini set, okay.
All right, so
Nada,
These
nada.
2 need a mini set. Jared needs a mini set.
Yes.
oh, you, I thought you
I
had
need a
one.
mini set.
He has one.
We do have one larger set with us. Would one of you like this one instead?
We need one to share.
Then that's a good one.
Here, you can have this.
Okay. You want to take this and put it in the file, or you want
Yeah. Does it fit?
to stamp it too?
Oh, we all have something, huh?
And now, before you go any further and get into your reasoning, let's just go over. I'm looking at the public hearing notice. 50 square foot covered front porch to a northerly front yard setback of 24 feet, 11 inches. And that setback is shown on these plans?
Yes.
And it was advertised as a dormer addition to a northerly front yard setback of 29.6 feet. I thought I heard you mention a different figure just now.
It's 32.9. The 29.6 that you have is the existing setback to the existing house. The dormer is set back further than that, but still encroaching on the 40 feet.
Okay, what is the setback?
32 foot 9 inches.
And is that shown on these?
Is that
It shows a
indicated on-
32.6 here from the road. Front yard setback to the front of the dormer?
The front of the dormer.
It shows 32.6.
It's 32.6, and that's a typo on my presentation, and my apologies.
It's 32 feet 9 inches.
What is it?
Does it show it on
9 inches would be
plans?
about 0.6, 0.7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so what is the figure, 32 feet,
0.6.
6 inches?
No,
Oh, 0.6 is not 6 inches.
32.6 feet?
Feet, yes.
Okay.
Setback to the porch reads 24 feet and 11 inches.
Yes.
Okay, and then the deck to a setback of 14 feet,
Yes.
that's shown on the, without my taking the time to look at the plan right now, that's shown on the plan?
I don't see that
I don't
measurement
see
on
it.
the plan.
I don't see
No,
the
that's
measurement.
not, it's not directly on the A1 sheet.
How do we know it's 14 feet?
Told you so.
It would have to be toward the corner because the lot line kind of
It would be worst case scenario, 14 feet.
narrows in there.
Yeah, it would be from that corner.
So that would be 14 feet exact?
Yes.
Okay, we need that figure shown on a survey or a site plan.
About both figures.
On the survey, it shows
That's because that's an existing deck that's coming
an
down.
existing deck.
That's being removed.
That's the 22 feet.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and the other thing is the reconstructed and reduced pool house.
It's an existing garage,
Okay.
and that's on the
shown on the
survey.
plan, okay, it wasn't
Yes.
shown on the survey, okay.
It should be on the survey. It's existing.
Well, the survey showed what was existing, it didn't
Yes.
show what you proposed.
Right, because
I'm
it's not.
telling you, at the work session, we
You had
had
no-
no idea what you were proposing because we didn't have these,
My sincere apologies. They told us 4.
we didn't have any.
At that point.
Okay,
I'm terribly sorry.
now we know what you're asking for, so. Was there another mini set,
I have another one if you'd like.
or did you hand them up?
Got this. You have an existing shed to remain and to be
Yes.
renovated.
Yes.
Does that mean,
It means basically re-sided to match what's
Re-sided.
coming there.
okay, it's not changing any dimensions?
No. No, it's just ugly and old, and they're going to re-side it so that it matches with everything else that they're doing on the house in the full renovation.
And the garage becomes a pool house, that same, is it the same, within the same footprint of the garage as existing?
We're keeping it within the footprint. It's shrinking. in dimension,
So smaller than the
smaller.
original footprint?
Yes. And also moving slightly further away from the property line.
Maybe you could show us how that shrunk, you know.
It's
It's
on there.
actually on, let me see. There's a lot going on sheet A1. You can see the line of the existing garage to be demolished, and
It's a light dashed line.
Okay, I see it. So, all right.
so you can see that we're taking the upper right corner of the existing footprint.
Right.
And then one more technical question before you get to your presentation. Is there a certificate of occupancy for all of the existing structures?
I believe there is.
You're talking about this, right?
Yeah, originally. So it's out of
Yes,
line.
yeah.
I know, the smaller you get. Line of a 10-foot accessory setback.
Do you need to see that down that way? Get past? I just gave her the certificate of occupancy.
You only have one.
I have one in my file.
Pardon?
I have one in my file.
This is seal.
Is.
1.5-story single frame dwelling with covered front porch and rear deck. Pre-existing non-conforming detached accessory garage with attached shed. What about the pool equipment? Is that noted on the survey or on A1?
It's not noted, but the owner is considering putting it within the cabana,
So it's going to be inside the
so
pool.
it will be inside and enclosed.
Should state that.
Let me see that, please.
Yeah.
You want to see how
Probably
this
have to
was
see
played
that.
out.
Kevin, could I just see the CO to see if,
Yeah.
for a second, since they only submitted one, I don't want to take it from your file. Okay.
That large, do you have one of the larger?
Yeah.
I just can't read on
It's very good. That's the file cut, you only got it.
Don't know what irrigation means.
Does that show the 14 feet?
It's just a larger one of that one, but the notes, I couldn't read the notes. Exterior shower, shrubs. Fence.
No issue with the pyramid law?
That's what I guess not.
4 foot high.
Because they're not
Is there
adding.
gonna be a bathroom in the cabana?
I don't see. No, it's just a small wet bar.
There's no issue with pyramid laws?
Just nothing in it. That's just stuff. Pyramid law?
So we're just looking for setbacks.
Okay.
Okay. So it's just setbacks.
the line of the roof from the pool house change? To what height, if it does?
The overall height, from the house from grade to its highest point is 13 feet 10 inches.
10 inches. That's okay, right?
Oh, it's been 16,
16. Okay.
It is smaller than the garage that is there now.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see that, it is considerably smaller.
Yes.
Alrighty. Where do you think you're putting the pool equipment in this cabana? In other words, since the setback is not conforming, you should make, I think, an effort to put the pool equipment away from the lot line.
So is your preference, say, the front,
In other words, put it
the
toward
front
north.
right corner?
Mhm.
The-
Put it
if-
toward the northern part of
Okay.
the building. It goes toward the south if you pulls it to the lot line.
So as you're looking at the site plan, the lower left, the lower right,
Probably the lower right.
the lower right?
Right.
I keep it away from the east and the south.
Okay.
How is this house heated, do you know? Is there oil?
What's there now?
He has oil there now, which he is going to abandon and put a new gas line
Okay, it's in the ground?
in. Natural gas.
No, the
Oh,
oil
the
tank,
tank
it's
is
in his
in
basement.
Oh, I see.
Makes it easy.
Again, my apologies for the lack of information you guys have had. So I'm sorry, we'll answer questions as you,
Time here before, so
before you guys, yeah, we've done the ARB before, but not you.
very easy to get along with.
Oh. I wasn't worried about that.
Well, some people don't think so. You have anything else?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Pam?
No?
Jerry?
No.
Rick?
Nothing at the moment.
Do you have anyone in the audience who'd like to hear this application? Yes, please come up.
Down in Nieto, I live on 25 Layton Avenue. There's some concerns concerning when the construction begins, all the construction vehicles, because there's no parking on his side of the street. We've already had a few instances of them trucks park, like a proposal for landscaping parking there right in front of the no parking sign anyway, which I had to call an ordinance officer for because we have congested parking on the other side of the street due to the apartment house parking where we're blocked in, and there's numerous calls to the ordinance officers because we're blocked in, overlapping our driveways, we can't get out. When we're pulling out, we have to go into the other side of the street, and if they're parking vehicles of construction on the other side of the street, we're not going to be able to get out at all. So there is concern with several of the neighbors about them constricting to the no parking signs. It's, yeah, when you go right up the corner, that's right there, and they're parking there, which is, it has it all the way around. But there is a driveway, but there's large dirt piles in it that they're not even using the driveway, and they're letting people park out in the street on the wrong side of the street, which the sign saying no parking, and they're doing it anyway. So that's a concern when this begins with the construction, that we're going to have major problems.
You see, this could be a problem. It's a small lot, and it's on a corner.
Yes. And like I said, there is signs that have been there for years that say no parking, but they're just parking, the sign was right in front of the truck, no parking, they did it anyway. So it's been very aggravating when there's a lot of construction going on, there's multi-trucks out there.
I mean, he
It's gonna
does
be a
have a
problem.
substantial driveway. They're kind of reconfiguring it a little bit. So I'm assuming that the contractor would try and keep most of his stuff off-street. But again, I can't answer for that. I'm not the contractor, but.
Usually what we'll do, we'll ask for some sort of parking plan.
Okay.
So,
Because like I said, there is limited parking on the other side due to all the apartment house parking.
there's a lot of parking over by the railroad also.
Yeah, but they, we were talking to I don't know, if it was, the ordinance officer who said that they can't carry their equipment that far, and there's gonna be
Well, you can
it's gonna be
drop
a
them
problem.
off, I
Drop
Okay.
them off and trolley
Okay,
back
just as
and
long
forth.
as this is like older people and they're concerned about having accidents. We've had one already trying to back out with this problem going on, so, yeah. So that's our concern.
I can appreciate that. I live in a neighborhood too, so I understand.
Okay. And my young children driving, and it's nerve-wracking to try to just get out when you need to. We've had to have several times call people to have them move just so we can leave our properties, which is, yeah.
Yeah, the trolley isn't that bad. On Meadow Lane, usually what they'll do in the wintertime, they'll use the parking lot over at Cooper's to
Yeah.
put the trucks over there. So
Is there some type of a protocol that exists in the village for
it's
situations like this?
unlimited parking on the opposite side of the railroad tracks.
Okay.
And there's got to be 150 spaces over there.
So is there some kind of, I know like sometimes you have to either sign affidavits or file things or get parking permits or whatever, does any of
Park
that
and walk,
exist?
I mean, literally, it's probably a 5-minute walk.
I'm sure it's not gonna be.
Well, you might want to let your builder know, because I'm sure the neighbors, once you start parking illegally,
Yeah,
you'll
I'm
be
sure they're
calling
not
them
gonna
every
wanna
day,
have
and they'll
calls
be
every
ticketing
day
them, you
coming.
know,
That's
so.
absolutely concerns. You have
Absolutely.
calling
You
constantly.
want to let your builder know that that's probably what'll happen if he,
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I will tell you this, when he selects a builder, I will make sure that that becomes known, because all that's gonna do is hinder his building process.
Right.
So I will certainly let him know that he does need to cooperate, pay attention, and at least, you know, work
I mean, there are
with you
signs there that they're
guys.
not even paying attention to now, so that
Yeah.
really needs to be reinforced somehow, that there's no parking, that means no parking, so, yeah,
Right,
it's simple.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard?
Do we have a letter from the other neighbor?
No, it was open, Rick? What more information do we need?
I do have a letter of commendation from the
Well, we
neighbor
need that,
directly to the south of him,
dimensions put on the
to the east of him.
You want to submit
So,
that?
it's email correspondence, but oh, no, it's upside down. Yeah, it's west, it's the west neighbor, sorry.
Getting
Sorry.
award. It's going to be lovely, it says here.
No, I think it's an improvement to the neighborhood. I think it's good. You just have to make sure that you like each other after everything's all
Yes,
said and done.
that's very
So,
important.
We're not.
That goes in the file.
So you need to mark the dimensions from the wood deck?
You want the deck dimensions?
Maybe two dimensions.
And also, I'm still looking for the setback of the dormer. I just don't see it on here. Maybe I'm missing it.
Setback dormer. She said it was within a,
It's an addition, the dotted line on the, if you look at the house, the inset line that's dotted and hatched, that's 3 feet
Is that dimension
from
on?
Come here.
the, so you see,
the original.
you just don't have an arrow going through the
I
street.
see
I
the,
understand.
okay, I see the 24 feet 11 inches for the covered
Yeah,
front
see it.
porch.
Right, it doesn't go directly to
the
that, it goes to
existing
the
home.
base of the house.
And there's an extra 3 feet.
Okay,
Dormer
you-
setback 3
I
feet.
guess.
I'll indicate that.
You
on-
need that to be shown on the survey. Now, what else?
Pool pump.
Oh, the deck,
So the pool equipment.
that's not shown.
Right, not the pool equipment shown.
I have to show
And
you.
the rear deck setbacks
Okay.
should be
So
measured.
we're gonna need a plan showing those setbacks.
Okey doke.
We need the 14 feet. We need the dormer setback. We need the location of the pool equipment inside the pool house. That's 3 things. Anything else we need?
No, I don't think
The
so. New
dimensions,
porch.
pool.
It's an open porch, so I don't
Okay.
think it's any bigger than the one that's originally there, right?
There's that one there.
There's an existing stoop there now. It is covered, but we're actually maintaining the same exact setbacks.
Okay, and it's open.
It's gonna be open, but it's gonna be covered.
Open
That
roof
protocol.
over,
Yes.
no walls.
We'll just have to hold it open, right?
Yeah.
Right, Rick, we'll hold it open.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're done?
I think so.
I move we hold this open for all purposes.
Right, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Because modifications.
You don't have to resubmit all those plans, just,
A1?
just
A1?
the site plan, yes.
If we resubmit them, are you guys actually gonna get them?
Yeah.
If you
Give
file
us
multiple
enough.
copies, we'll
I
get
will
them.
file multiple
That
copies.
means,
I just want you to get them this time. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Bye-bye. Sometimes they sell them for pulp. You know.
Moving right along here. That brings us up to case number 2824, Home Nature Inc., 19 Pond Lane.
Hello. The applicant, my name is John Bennett, and Bill Slight, the project architect, is with me. This is, you might remember, this is the old Sports Sac building, which was, I think prior to that time, some automotive use.
This
But
was the
that's
site
going,
where my wife first started her business. The second chance started, yeah.
oh, before the Sports
It
Sac?
was owned by George Smerger.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay. Well, it must have been an automotive use
At
even
one
before
time, it may
that,
have been part of, what was it?
across the street.
Yawny Land.
Yeah.
Harlan Jennings.
Oh, okay.
Harlan Jennings.
Oh, okay. And anyway, the use was established as a retail use for some time, and I thought we had this in the application, but we may have dropped the ball on this. So I have copies of, well, I have copies of this. The CO is in the file, I think. I have copies of there's a building permit was issued for a second-story addition on the property, and I have some photos of, just for the record, because everyone goes by it every day, but I have some photos to show what's going on there today as well. So I have copies of the building permit and copies of the current state of construction at the property. So there was a permit issued for it's an existing retail store. The CO, I should say, is for a pre-existing non-conforming one-story commercial masonry building. It's a very small lot, it's under 3,000 square feet. And then when the building permit was issued, it was issued for storage only, which means there will be furniture. Home Nature, as you know, has their main store on the corner of, I guess that's Meeting House. It's not quite the, yes, I guess it's maybe a store or two in from the corner of Meeting House and Main Street. And this is will be a second store. But there will be furniture stored on the second floor under the permit. So the idea was, and we thought it was a very minimal request, given the fact that there'd be furniture up there, to actually allow that to be part of the showroom for the furniture. The current improvements on the property are 2,705 square feet. So, and it's not a full two-story structure now. Even under construction, the upstairs is 1,276 square feet. Bill has given us the calculations. So again, the existing one-story building is 2,705, and the proposed 1,276 square foot expansion is not an expansion of the building, but it is an expansion of the use. And the way I read the code, since we're want to expand that retail use into something other than storage, active, actual sales floor, we would require a relief under the code section. So, but again, there's absolutely no physical expansion proposed on the property. What you see there now under construction would be the way the building would look after the variance. And it's solely to expand the existing non-conforming retail use. It's a use question. The proposal is to utilize the structure by one retailer, just one retailer. So that creates minimum concern, I would suggest. And it's not a high traffic smaller retail items. It's not a ice cream store or a candy store or some of these smaller items that people buy more frequently. It's home furnishings, so you don't tend to buy those as much as you would some smaller items. So the increase in the intensity of the uses would be de minimis. Again, the furniture will be up there anyway, so the thought would be to make it more accessible and make that part of the floor area as well. It's not unusual in the village to have second-story retail spaces. Pottery Barn, which I guess used to be Saks, has a second floor for home furnishing. Hildreth does, not only the existing Hildreth, but their home furniture store on West Main Street. And English Country Antiques also has second-story furniture, so it's not an unusual use. And again, it'll be located entirely on top of the existing structure within a permitted second-story addition. No change in lot coverage, and will not create a greater density on the use of the lot because again, it'll all be happening within the existing square footage. The existing building is located in a commercial corridor, a de facto commercial corridor. To the south is residential, to the west is the cultural center, because the cultural center wraps around and it abuts the property to the west. To the north are various retail and automotive uses, and to the east is Village Park. The property is zoned residential, but right across the street is Village Business. So Culver Street, if you are driving west on Culver Street, to the left is residential, except there are some commercial uses here, commercial or non-residential uses, specifically this use, and the institutional use, the cultural center. But to the right, or to the north, that's all zoned Village Business. So again, it's not going to visually enact some sort of change in the character of the neighborhood. It'll be within the existing building, which is currently under construction. So, and we think that given the applicant's nature as a furniture retailer, that the expansion of the permitted use is not only reasonable, but probably of minimal impact. So we would need relief to expand the use up to the second story so that we could have showroom up there, as opposed to just limited storage of the furniture. Again, the furniture is going to be up there anyway. We'd like to be able to take clients up there to look at it. But we do need some help on parking spaces, because there's simply no space whatsoever on the lot. The lot is essentially totally covered by the building. And there's insufficient room on the lot to accommodate the required parking. However, and I'm going under some of the criteria of the code parking, there is a public parking lot within 500 feet of the subject premises on the south side of Job's Lane, east of the subject premises. That's what behind, when you it's what's there now?
Driver's seat.
Driver's seat, all the
Red something.
the red bar. That's what I was used to be.
Little red.
Used to be Clyde and Stan's. That's really
Yeah.
dating myself.
So they'll carry their piece of furniture 500 feet from the store to that
Oh
parking
no,
lot?
they don't do that. They deliver it. Yeah.
It's a beautiful park in between.
Maybe some of the smaller items. So some of the smaller items, I guess. And there's also all that parking. There's also all that parking on Pond Lane, which is utilized mostly during non-business hours when there are events at the cultural center, and or the Wednesday night music that they have at the park. So a lot of that parking could be utilized. So again, since we can't fit this parking on the property, would certainly be preferential if we could, but we can't. But we do meet some of the standards. We meet the standards, I believe, in the code for the grant of relief. The only question, quite frankly, is what section of the code that you would grant the parking relief under. And getting right to the point, one of the sections, which I believe we conform to, but again, it's within your discretion, does not require, and Rick will correct me if I'm wrong, does not require the payment of a dollar amount per space. The other one does. I'll just leave that.
$8,000?
Is it 6, 7, 8, something like that? But I'll leave that in your discretion.
So you want off the hook for that?
Excuse me?
You want off the hook for that?
We want off the hook for that. We think we meet the code section allows it, but again, I'm going to leave that in your discretion. I don't know what your policy has been in the past. Certainly, whatever your policy has been, that's what you're going to follow.
I don't think we've ever let anybody off the hook for that.
I don't think we have.
That's why I said I'll leave it in your discretion.
I'm recalling entrance to West Main Street. And the fellow bought that building that now holds some lawyers, and he wanted retail. We made him pay for 4 spots or something like that.
Right.
Frenzies.
Frankly, I don't remember. I think there's a code section that suggests that you can do it without it, but I will be very direct and frank with you. I don't remember you granting relief without a...
John, where are the mechanicals?
Bill, where are the mechanicals?
The mechanicals within the building.
They're inside the building.
The first story of the building, and this goes to the history of the building that exists on site, is high enough that over the required interior bathroom, we were able to ceiling mount the air handler and the boiler for the space.
So you don't have any exterior
there are
air handlers or anything?
There are 3 air handlers on the roof. They are located at the center of the roof, and they are shielded from view by the parapet of that new roof and by a skylight penthouse that is on the west side at the western end of the building.
There's no basement in this, right?
The basement, no.
I think if you go down 6 inches, you're going to hit groundwater.
Why are there 2 sets of stairs to the second floor?
That's for emergency
Fire code.
egress requirement.
Right.
Of the
You have to
state
need the
code.
2. I believe you need the 2 sets of ingress and egress.
Okay.
On the permit, it said type of construction, second-story addition for storage only.
That's correct. That's why we're here.
I realize that. If they knew they were going to want retail, why didn't they put it down at first?
I don't know. I wasn't involved in it.
It's called bootstrapping.
I wasn't involved in it.
I know.
I wasn't involved in it. I think it. If it's, I don't know that it makes it unreasonable, but maybe.
Well, it almost looks like they're trying to do an end run, you know?
I can explain this.
Oh, you explain it because I wasn't involved.
But when the building was submitted, the owners were not sure that they would have the money to finish that space. During the early course of the construction, one of the partners retired from his job with Michael Kors and he had been a partner with that company, an early member, and received a substantial retirement. And so he is now investing that in the new building, and therefore they decided they could go ahead with finishing, with perhaps using that space. So
They probably should. The amount of money
So-
probably shows. It's very nice
there-
construction. Yeah.
the initially proposed building, did not have the funds for it. During the early course of the construction, they received the funds.
But they were going to have the story, though.
They
It
ran
was going to
storage.
be 2 stories.
That's right,
What was going to be upstairs, just unfinished?
unfinished.
Storage.
But it was still storage.
That's
So
correct.
we didn't have to finish it.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense. They could have gone for the approvals ahead of time and just left the space unfinished, no?
They weren't even sure at the time it was filed that they would, we actually got approval from the ARB to either have a 1-story or a 2-story building. And
So the ARB nodded to this.
they understood that they had the option, if they couldn't get the money to do it, that they would build only a 1-story building. As I said, early on, they received the other money that they would need to do the 2nd story.
So the ARB got involved in financial considerations?
No, the ARB wasn't, they were just, the ARB was told that the owner had not yet at
What'd
that
they do,
point
give them the option?
had not yet decided as to whether to build a 1- or 2-story
Sounds like
building.
they gave them the
They
option.
gave them the
Yeah,
option.
you get the
I don't
building.
think they got involved at all.
How many square feet of area are you adding on this for the second floor?
1,276 square feet. It's there now.
Right. How many
the,
square feet is all the staircases?
Well, the staircases are there now.
Yeah.
No, they're new. They added a 2nd floor.
Well,
So of the 1,200 and some square feet, it looks like a third of it is used up in staircases. So you really don't have 1,200 some odd feet of area up there because
Well, how did you calculate
a
it?
third of it is staircases, correct?
Well, how did you calculate it, Bill? You
I'd like to
calculated,
know
where did
that.
you get,
Well, how
does
are
the
they
number
gonna get
include the
storage up there then?
staircases or not?
Elevator?
That's
Well,
an
they need one
important,
staircase, they don't need two if it's just storage, right?
that's an important question. Is the 1,276? It does or does not include the stairs?
That includes the use, the retail use.
No, but to Mr. Gusowicz's point, does it include the stairs, cases, or not?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
So it's a total of 1,200, including the staircases.
The 1,200 includes the
I'm
staircases.
sorry, now I understand what you're asking me. The 1,275 is the.
Does not include the staircase.
It's not including the
Okay.
staircases.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was confused with the other.
But you had to use up a lot of floor area to get the staircases in, so you lost first floor area. So the net gain is not 1,200 square feet, because you gotta subtract what you lose for the staircase.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
So I'm just figuring what the net gain is here, you know? Like for the whole second floor, what are they gonna gain?
It ain't
700
1,200,
square feet?
yeah.
As opposed if they just had a one-story building with no staircase.
Oh, I see. The first floor plan shows
You look at the facade over here, I mean, it looks pretty good. I can't really comment on it one way or another because it's not done, but.
You can get a good idea of the exterior of the sidewalls when you pass it now on the front facade as fronting on Pond Lane. It's a wooden sort of slatted.
The siding material is cedar, 8-inch boards, one bundling. They're scored to express each of the boards. They're stained white, painted and presented white.
So it matches the building catty corner that sits empty. Is that right?
So Bill,
It was felt that the white in the village study is mentioned prominently as being a color that characterizes the village of Southampton.
It's white.
I thought it was moldy shingles. I thought it was gray shingles that characterized it.
No, the business.
So anyway, given Michael Kors, the guy's windfall, we don't have to consider the parking spaces probably. It's plenty of money, right?
I felt compelled to bring to your attention the one section which is a bit more lenient, but frankly, I've never seen you waive it, so that's why I said it's at your discretion.
So the AC equipment and the heating equipment will not be seen at all
Or heard?
or heard?
No.
So they're in the center of the-
It's set back, from the edge of the building. It's up there now. You can't see it.
From the street, I mean,
Correct.
from the east or from the north?
Well, if there's anything that you
from
want, I think the only
What about from the west?
Can any of the neighbors see it?
I haven't been to any of the neighbors' homes. I'm certain that the neighbors can see the equipment
handlers?
that's on the cultural center's roof, which is.
Okay, but the question is,
to the west.
can they see on this building?
I would say
Wouldn't know.
they can, I haven't been to their property, I know that they have a second story, that there are neighbors to the west of this who may be high enough that they can see the top of this building.
Okay.
So on the drawing, you show the skylight, how it projects up above the roof, but then it shows some mechanical equipment with an epee fence or screening, but you don't show that on the, so I don't know if it's higher than that skylight or lower, so that would be good to know.
We're gonna have to show that to the board members so that they can make a determination as to the adequacy of the screening because there are residential properties to the west and to the south.
There's a parapet wall around that's 18 inches high, and the screen wall that you're talking about will be another 3 feet, so it'll be a total of 4.5 feet. The equipment is less than 4.5 feet.
But it shows screening just on one side,
That's
right?
all, yes.
Yeah, Bill, can you come up, Bill? I think, and I think this is what Mr. Guzowitz is talking about. You've got the skylight here, but then you've got equipment on the top of the
equipment
roof.
over here.
Okay, but you don't show that. Is it all underneath that parapet wall?
It's beyond them.
Whether you're gonna have to show that then, so that it can be appropriately determined by the board whether or not the screening is adequate.
Right.
The screen
If
wall, I
you
don't
live
know
next
how
door, you
high
don't
the
want to
screen
look at
wall is.
That's where I'm going.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, and if you're asking for a variance,
Listen, that's why you don't have the information to show that, you don't have the information to make sure that that's a condition, and to make sure that's the way it would be constructed.
Right.
Because there are residential lots to the,
Yeah.
to the west and to the south. I agree.
But
And,
for
I
a
mean,
purpose, just to inform you,
equipment is
I'll
not
give you the
attractive.
drawing
And
that shows that.
If you're in a park and they're gonna look back at the building, if this goes through, you don't wanna
Absolutely.
see units, so I don't know if what you have there screens it.
Is adequate.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do that, and whatever it takes to screen it adequately and to attenuate the noise, that's what we're gonna do.
do they make low profile,
Air handlers?
Yeah.
No.
No.
They're all about the.
Yeah.
So in any event, we'll take another shot at not only demonstrating what the screening cord is going to be and what the heights of these are, just so that everyone can be comfortable and the neighbors can be assured that we'll do everything to attenuate the visual impact and the noise.
How about, yeah, and the noise?
Yeah, and the noise, because you know, if you're going to sell your house 5 years from now, somebody goes to the second floor, the house is unsaleable. Or it's worth less.
But we're going to do away with that possibility. Bill, do you feel you can comfortably attenuate the noise and the visual impact? Because I think, although this is a pre-existing non-conforming commercial building, and although there's a village business on the side of it, it is zoned residential, so that's a very valid.
It's a unique street. I mean, you
Yeah,
have
it
a
is.
combination of homes and businesses.
Everyone will be satisfied.
We'll do that.
Yeah. This is not the fairly simple application that your presentation so far is making it sound like.
I don't think anything's simple before you guys.
In what event?
Okay.
I haven't had an opportunity yet to fully digest the various issues that may be involved on this application. It's my understanding that your client recently purchased the property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then, first of all, they're looking for two variances. Number one is a variance to expand the non-conforming use, a use that's not permitted in a residence district. So it's not a dimensional variance, it's a variance to expand the use. So, to what extent does use variance criteria apply to this?
Oh, not at all.
Is this a self?
Not at all.
Is this a self?
Not at all. This is
You want me to
not-
hold all my questions
Yeah,
until next
because
month?
that's, Rick, you know, you have a specific code section that allows you to expand
Okay.
up to 50% of non-conforming use, and it's been held.
I'm going to
that
ask
for
that you
years.
adjourn this for all purposes,
Fine.
and I will hold all my questions until next month, if that's the way John's going to react.
No, well, I'm going to react.
I was trying to
strongly.
give him some idea of what things I have to think about.
I would welcome that.
But I'm not going to do it when you're standing there saying, "Oh, Rick." I told you, I have not had an opportunity to fully digest the issues and standards that you have to meet on this. So I will hold all my questions for the next
Well,
meeting.
no, don't do that.
That's
like
what I'm doing,
tamperish,
John.
Rick. Are you kidding me? You're going to penalize the applicant.
Okay, I'm asking, I have not had an opportunity to consider it and look into it yet. What criteria do you have to show to get this variance to expand the non-conforming use? To what extent is use variance criteria involved? Are you prohibited because you purchased the property at a time when the use was prohibited?
Well, if you're going to say a use variance is the standard that's involved,
All right,
I don't know
John.
how you make that case, but I don't think it is, and I don't.
John, I'm going to stop again and hold all my questions for next month because I don't have the answers to these questions yet, and you're shooting from the hip.
No, I'm not shooting from
So
the hip.
I'm not going to give you that opportunity.
No. I am not shooting from the hip. Quite the contrary. My response is a very studied, educated
response.
I'm holding all my questions until next month,
Well, let me respond then. if
after I have an opportunity to consider the legal issues that have not yet been addressed.
Well, I will address them right now.
And then the second variance that they're looking for, and also, I mean, they haven't presented any economic reason for expansion of a use variance. They haven't presented any reason. They've just said, we'd like to expand. They have to show something. What that is, I don't know. I'm not sure until I look into it. Then you get to the off-street parking variance. That's the second variance. And they really haven't, I haven't heard anything really addressing grounds for an off-street parking variance yet either.
All right, let me respond, if I may, to the use variance question, because I think that's a threshold question.
Well, are you going to let me respond to it?
Are you going to let me finish?
I didn't know you were finished.
Okay. Okay, there are more questions. And there are some things I need to discuss with John Foster. I haven't had an opportunity to do that yet. I did call him today, but he was not available. Another question I would have, and I don't know what the answer is, I see that the site plan is dated 4/2/13, so that's presumably before a building permit was issued. All the other plans are dated 4/1/14, so I'm wondering if there have been revisions to the plans upon which the building permit was issued. I don't know the answer to that. It's something that we need to determine. I see the plan showing new retail space. Also appear to show a roof deck. Is there some proposed use of a roof deck in connection with a retail store? Why do the plans label it roof deck, and what is the applicant's intentions with respect to the roof deck? That's just a few questions that I have not had a chance to digest yet, and I'm just throwing out there to you. I may have more. I'm not going to talk any further without having looked into this, digested this myself.
I think it's important because it's a threshold question. I'm going to respond to the question of the use variance. If this is given the use variance standard, there's no way that anyone can meet this standard because they purchased it knowing what it is. And unlike an area variance, a use variance standard is clear. It's self-created, and you purchase it aware of it. You can't. That's a fatal flaw to a use variance. But this is not a use variance. A use variance is I don't have a use in existence on a piece of property, and I want to put something on there that doesn't conform to zoning. That's a use variance. I don't remember a case of this board ever granting a use variance. I'm extremely aware and conversant and knowledgeable about the standards for use variances in the village law. They're effectively impossible to obtain. This is not a use variance. This is not, I have a vacant piece of property, or I have a piece of property that has a residence on it and it's surrounded now by shopping centers because that's the way the property is subsequently developed. This is an existing use, non-conforming use on a piece of property, and you have a code section which has been used innumerable times that allows the expansion up to 50% and under your discretion. So I'm not saying people think that you have to.
John, part of my question is, what are the criteria under that section?
Well, that it's not more detrimental to the neighborhood.
You haven't presented any arguments for variances for enlargement. So far, you've just come in and asked for it.
No, that's your reading. I've talked about the character of the neighborhood, the impact on the neighborhood, the fact that the building is there already, so there'll be no visual impact. So please don't tell me that I haven't come in, particularly in front of my client, and not made the beginning of a case, because I'm insulted by it. I would never do that before this board. This board is too exacting and too sophisticated, and I have too much respect for this board to come in and just say, I want it because I want it. I didn't do that. I started talking about the character of the neighborhood, the fact that the building is already there, that there will be no additional visual impact, that the type of retail there is not a very high traffic retail, the fact that many things. So please don't say I haven't begun to make a case. If you have more questions, and if this board has more questions, as you know,
John, I
will be
started
here
off by
to
saying
answer
I
them.
wanted to hold all my questions until after I had considered this. You're the one that told me you wanted me to start talking.
No, you just said I haven't begun to make a case, and I find
true.
that insulting, particularly in front of these 5 gentlemen and my client. So please don't say that to me, Rick. I have too much respect for you. You should have as much respect for me.
I tried to have respect for
Well,
you
you're
by
not
suggesting
showing it.
that I hold all
No,
my
you're not
questions
showing
until I
it.
considered.
You're not showing it.
Do you have a CO for this building?
Yes, as a
Do we have
CO
it?
for a pre-existing, non-conforming commercial building. And it's been some time, our relationships have been quite cordial, but I don't think you've acted appropriately this evening, Rick.
I don't think you have.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes 2 of us then.
That's not gonna get us anywhere, so.
And how many parking spaces do they need?
There should be a CO in the application packet. But if I don't have it, I will get it to you. I know there was a CO because I had to obtain it when here it is right here. Certificate of Occupancy, CO 12383, issued 7/16/2002, for a valid pre-existing non-conforming 1-story commercial masonry building. And there's the building permit that was issued for the construction of the
So
second
you
story.
have copies for everybody on there?
I'll either give you that or make copies. Why don't I do the
Yeah,
following? This is
just
the only
give
copy
us
I have. I'll
copies.
provide 10 copies.
And for the parking, the calculations of how you determine how many spaces?
It's
that-
just the square footage times either 150 or 180, but I'll get you that calculation.
Yeah.
I will endeavor to answer all the questions that
Please
have been
provide a
posed.
copy of your client's deed to the property also.
I've never seen that as a requirement for the submission, but I will get you that as well.
Do we have anyone in the audience that'd like to hear this application?
I had something before that.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
In researching the building, we found that the building was constructed sometime around 1913 or 1915. It was constructed as an automobile dealership, which makes it interesting because automobiles were in their infancy at that time, and that Southampton would be the location for so early a commercial use. So the building has been in mercantile or commercial use since the teens, and certainly predating any of the zoning. I've always found it curious that the property was zoned as a residential use, since historically, before the zoning was created, it had always had a mercantile use. So I think it was an aberration that it had that, and perhaps it was seen at the time as being only one lot within it. It was easier to draw the map without a little chunk out of the corner of the zone. So we just included it as that, and felt that it was covered by the fact that it would be a special exception within, or pre-existing exception within that residential use. So I just want you to realize that historically, this has always been a use in that area, and married to and part of the commercial district of Southampton. And in particular, that particular area of Southampton, as evidenced by the name of the restaurant, The Driver's Seat, was dedicated to the carriage trade, and then later to the automobile trade, and to the parking, fueling, and maintaining, and even selling of automobiles. So it does, you know, it's tied in with that use. Historically, it's always been part of the commercial district of the village.
You know,
I think the driver's seat was a produce market owned by the Platts.
It's interesting. I sort of was trying to figure out, to be honest with you, Bill, where you were going with that. But the other example of maybe how the zoning should have been, you want to call it gerrymandered or whatever, zoning is supposed to, when you put zoning into place in an existing village with existing uses, or an existing municipality with existing uses, you're supposed to follow the existing uses. So this clearly wasn't done in this area. But it was done in another area. For example, it was the old Grattan Chrysler Plymouth Dodge, which is now Jaguar and Range Rover. It's an island of highway business surrounded on one side by MF20 and on the other side by Office District. So and I know I'm not, you know, one can wonder whether or not that would have been the better approach on this, because if you have a piece of property that's dedicated to a business use and recognize a pre-existing non-conforming use, you're supposed to encourage that. I believe, particularly when it's right across the street from village uses. This is a good way to get continuing traffic throughout the village business area. There's a lot of talk been done about that. Here you've got some private money trying to do that, and I would hope that you would embrace it. But I will get you everything and more that you need to properly and adequately examine and make a determination on this case.
Now, do we have anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard?
Hi, I'm Bill Yorney. I live at 16 Culver Street, right down, two lots up from the current location of the new Home Nature. I have prepared a letter that I want to read, and I have copies for all the board members. But before I do that, I just want to say that just from listening to Mr. Bennett, this gentleman here, I've come up with more thoughts of what's going on. They don't even know what they're building. He says the parapet walls around the building, that means 4 walls. There are 3. There's no parapet wall on the west side of the building. When you come down Culver Street, and I'm not talking about being on anybody's property, you can see 3 air conditioning units, AC compressors, and they are not in the center of the building. They have been moved from the southeast corner of the building to the southwest corner of the building, and they were moved about 3 weeks ago. I haven't been here for 2 weeks, I just got back, and they're in the same position they've been moved 3 weeks ago. So this about being in the middle of the building behind the skylight is not a truth. You gentlemen have a chance, you can go on Culver Street and look at it.
I didn't say it was in the middle of the building, sir. I said
someone in this party said it. Someone has also said that there'll be no visual impact if they make that a retail space up top. Well, I can dispute that by saying that their current retail store on Main Street, it's not on Meeting House Lane, in the back they have a patio or whatever. It's outdoor space, and they use it for retail of outdoor furniture. They have plants, they have furniture, they have umbrellas, and I can just see this on this second story facing Job's Lane coming from Windmill Lane, and you're just going to see it a little bit look like, and I'm sure that that's what the intent is. If they get the upstairs use inside, they're going to use the outside space outside, and they have planned for it. They have expensive doors, expensive windows. They've already built that on the construction site. They just didn't happen. They planned for this. The roof, if there was just going to be a storage, it didn't have to be a big high roof. No, they put a big high roof on because they planned to come here and figure they built it, now you're going to give it to me. And I have this picture of what is the current store, what use is outside. I'd like to just submit it so you gentlemen can see it, and if you gentlemen get a chance, I urge you to walk across the street, go into Home Nature, and just see what they're doing there. I mean, they're selling products. That's fine. Not a problem at all. As far as they said that the building's been there since 1913. It's an automobile building. Well, this gentleman probably doesn't know me, but I've been in the automobile business for a long time. And I dispute the fact that that building was there. I have a picture of the Buckeye Hotel, which is where my property is now, where I live. And there was no buildings down on the corner. And that Buckeye property was destroyed in the '38 hurricane. But that's here and there. I would like to read this letter that I have prepared, and I'm going to submit 6 copies. I didn't get one for you, Rick. I didn't know. But I'd like to read this if I may. It's dated today, and it's to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and it's reference the application by Home Nature. Gentlemen, my wife and I reside at 16 Culver Street, Southampton, New York, and the applicant is requesting to increase the size of their business building in our residential area. We do not object to the operation of their business in its pre-existing non-conforming location. However, we do object to any change from its current use and size for the following reasons. Number 1, the expansion of the second floor by 1,276 square feet is misleading, as the applicant intends to use the outdoor space to the north and east of the second floor as additional retail space, which will bring the expansion to well over 50%. See the attached drawing. There's a picture I got in the back, or a sketch from the building department. Number 2, if the second floor is used for retail, there should be certain safeguards imposed on its use as to not interfere with adjoining properties, of which are residential and include our property. The concerns extend to placement of any mechanical equipment, outdoor lighting, and any other items which are not allowed in residential areas. And I think I explained that. Umbrellas, plants up on top of roofs, and lighting, etc. Number 3, the applicant has asserted that the second-story expansion is the minimum area required to accommodate their business needs. We find that hard to believe, as the prior businesses located at this location apparently were successful. More square footage obviously means more customers, more traffic, with absolutely no on-site parking. Number 4, the decision of the Board of Appeals granting any expansion of the non-conforming use should be conditioned upon satisfactory approval from the Suffolk County Department of Health. Since I understand that the building covers almost the entire site, it is difficult to see how upgraded or expanded sanitary facilities could be provided. While this is not directly the jurisdiction of your board, it certainly goes to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. And the board should be satisfied that the health department would approve this expansion. Number 5, the applicant went before the ARB to obtain a building permit to improve the building. The second-story addition was to be used as storage and was to be constructed as such. It is obvious by looking at the building, I have never been in it, by the way, that this is not the case, as it appears the second floor is ready for retail use. The applicant has built the building and now is crying wolf to your board for its use. The applicant purchased the property knowing its use and should be required to follow this non-conforming use as is. Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to be heard? Obviously, there's a lot more to do with this.
I have a question. What is going to be the use of what's called the deck?
Well, it would not be for retail sales. I'll get more information on that, but certainly if you wanted to put any conditions on it that prohibited any display of furniture or any actual use of that as an active sales place, there's nothing I could say to that, because the request is for an expansion of 1,207 square feet. If you were going to add the deck, that would be more than that. It would be over 50%. So I would agree with Mr. Yawney's assertion. So it can't be used for retail, any sort of retail use, and I'll go back and ask them whether or not that's necessary. I certainly don't want that to be the tail wagging the dog.
Can it be used
I
for
would
any-
be concerned about that as an adjoining residential neighbor. And to take an analogy, down on Meadow Lane, you guys have been pretty consistent when people have wanted to build on Meadow Lane to say that you can't have a roof deck. So
I have a question for you. You applied for a permit for storage, all right? Were these the plans that you applied for the storage? In other words, what we have here, are these?
Those plans,
no, that's
other
to
than the
Rick's
site
point,
plan,
yeah.
those plans are all dated.
So is there original
We're gonna have
plans?
to get.
Can I see the
no,
plans?
No, that was Rick's point, and
That
that's a
was
good
one of the
point.
questions,
Yeah,
actually.
that's one of his questions. So we're gonna get that. So we're gonna make sure that what was approved under the building permit in the ARB is what you have in front of you. That's a very, very good question.
Because the question I have is
Yep.
that if you applied for an addition for storage, which the building permit seems to be, and then you put, roof decks and expensive skylights and extra staircases in to accommodate fire requirements for retail space, it looks like, you asked for one thing, figuring you're bait and switching us, that's,
Well, again,
that's the appearance I
because
get.
I don't know. Number one, I don't know because I wasn't there.
Well, I'd like
Number
to
two,
know
let's
that- I wanna
find
know
out.
this,
Let's find out what happened there. But you also have to judge the application on its merits, regardless of the permit methodology. You have to make a decision whether or not it makes sense there. And that's what you're going to do. That's what I'm asking you to do. I don't know what
What would
happened.
that deck-
Rick's question is,
Sorry.
let's see what was originally approved. You're entitled to see that. We'll get it for you.
Do you envision any use of that deck?
I'm going to ask my clients, I'm going to tell them that hell will freeze over before you guys will allow that for any sort of active use for the retail sales.
Well, any other use?
Okay. Let me tell them that.
And then maybe it wouldn't require doors going out to it, or would it?
Well, I think these windows/doors are probably already installed, but we could make sure that they weren't a method for getting out and utilizing that. I understand.
Well, even if it's not used for retail, it might be used for breaks, along with tables and umbrellas, lunching, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't need doors.
Okay. We'll get the answer to those questions. They're all good questions.
John, I think you should look at 16 Hampton Road. I think that that building was approved for
Town
a
and-
second story
Town and
for
Country.
use as storage, and they put an elevator shaft in, and none of it was completed, but it's ready to go for upstairs use.
16
Office space, I believe, but.
Is that your
Town
your
and
family
Country
home?
and
My old
such?
building.
That's your family home. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, it's very high. The second story
It's
there.
somewhat comparable to this case. I don't think there were any variances required there, but.
Well, it was not in a residential zone, but that's,
Yeah.
it's in a village business zone.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, that's very high, because actually there was a concern about the drainage of the Southampton stationary building. So it's much, much higher than the adjoining building. But I appreciate, and I'll take a look at that. And we'll get you all the answers to these questions.
The sanitary system, where is it anyway?
I'll find that out too.
Where was it before, in the old building?
It's probably right in the building. That's
Right underneath
where
the
they used to
building.
do it.
Bill?
I'd like to say.
He has an answer.
Two things.
If you look back on the back page of my letter, it's that picture, that sketch, it's quite obvious that
Somebody's out there.
they were going to use a deck. There's a sketch of a person on the east side of the building. Now, there's no question that, and just to the left of that person, there are some real expensive doors. I was told by the building department I don't know why he's putting in them. They're very expensive. I don't know the name of them.
Riley Custom Wood Doors.
Riley Custom Wood Doors.
The most expensive doors you can buy.
So there is an intent to use that up there. Whether they say it or not, I don't know. My one big concern here would be, they get the use up there, they put the furniture out there, who knows, they'll put a cappuccino machine in and say, come on, let's have coffee, you can look down Job's Lane, you can look into the park, and all of a sudden it's becoming a coffee shop. I mean, well, I smell a rat here.
Yeah.
A big one.
If you had lawn furniture, you could have coffee. Maybe they're not selling the coffee.
Exactly, but who
they're
knows what
selling
they're gonna
the package. And,
And as far as, and as far as the sanitary in it, we spoke to Chris Talbot, and he says that they're sharing the sanitary with the cultural center.
Really?
That's what I was told. We asked, and that's the
Cultural
information.
Center know it?
That's, I mean, the building department is the building department.
Built to see for a new cesspool. I'm sorry.
Come on. This is my wife.
Hi, I'm Ann Yawning. I walk this all the time, and we've watched this right from the beginning, and I have never seen a new septic system go in there whatsoever. Whether it's required or not, I don't know, but there has never been a cesspool truck there with the rings and everything to be put in there. And that was a question I kept asking the building department. You know, aren't they required by Suffolk County Health to have a new septic system put in? Basically, it's a new building. They built around the old building and tore basically almost everything out, but I never saw a new septic system go in. So
Something else
that's
we
another
want the
question.
answer to that, yeah.
Thank you.
You don't have
We'll
it.
share that with the cultural center. That's the village, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I have a vague recollection
Do you have the
that
answer? Oh, he has.
a number of years ago, the owner of, what was it, Le Sportsac or whatever it
Sandy
was.
Sportsac, yeah.
I have a vague recollection that there was some kind of an agreement between the village and LaSac having to do with septic system. I don't remember the details, it's a vague recollection.
It would make sense because there's no
But
space.
my guess is there probably is some kind of a shared thing there, with village approval.
Right. All right. I guess that's it for tonight on this application, so we're gonna hold it open for all purposes.
All right.
All right, is that a motion?
Oh, yeah. So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okey-doke. Whoa. Sneaky.
Many questions.
Nice though, I get it.
That brings us up to case number 2825.
Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay, John. DeFonso and Horror, 177 Wicker Park Road.
For the applicant, Gilbert G. Flanagan, 21 South Main Street, Southampton. Also, Pam Pospisil, the architect for the project. I have an affidavit of posting and an affidavit of mailing. Guess maybe I should drop my request for the roof deck.
Yeah, do that.
You have to laugh at these meetings, otherwise you go out of your mind.
Right there.
Now, this is, as you can see, this is a two-part, really a two-section application for dimensional relief for this property, which is located on the corner of Wickapog Road and Narrow Lane. And the first part of it, as I mentioned in my application, is very minor. There is a proposed covered entry on the east side of the building facing Narrow Lane at a setback of, which conforms from Narrow Lane at 82 feet, but it needs a front yard variance from Wickapog Road, because it's only 72.9 feet where 80 feet is required, but it's at the very rear of the existing house. So I would submit that that is, it's an extremely minor request. It's, as I say, it's for a covered entry and nothing else. The more significant part of the application is a proposal to change the existing house, which of course is in a non-conforming location. And I do have a copy of the existing C of O for it, which is issued in the name of the applicants, and it includes all of the existing improvements, and I'll pass that around. study the plans and the site plan I submitted, you'll note that with respect to the house, the additions we're talking about are all within the existing house footprint. There's a proposal to provide additional space over the garage, and there is a desire to raise slightly the roof of the existing house so as to increase the amount of habitable space. The total amount of habitable space that's in a non-conforming area is 580 square feet. When we calculated it out, the existing house contains 2,989 square feet of habitable space, so therefore we are requesting a 19.4% expansion. So that is obviously well within the 50% expansion for a non-conforming condition as opposed to a non-conforming use. We believe that the design of the south facade of the house is actually better. There are two very strange-looking floor-to-ceiling dormers that front on it now. You can see that the new architectural plans have broken that up so it looks more traditional. This house was always, in my opinion, sort of an odd-looking thing. It started out as I guess, a 1960s, it's almost a split-level kind of thing, and then it evolved to where it is now, and I think we're trying to bring it more into consistency with the character of the
Built
neighborhood.
at that time for the new superintendent of schools, Bill Washington.
I remember that. I remember.
Built for him, yeah.
Right, yeah, it was built for Bill Wassner.
By Joe Greffick, I believe.
I think you're right. Joe Greffick had a certain style, and that was a graphic house. And you're right, it belonged to the Wassner. So what we're going to try to do is to, Pam's plans is to make it look more traditional. What we're doing is we're adding, as I say, living space, a new master bedroom suite over the garage, and the rest of the addition inside the raised roof of the main part of the house is to add an additional bathroom and 3 closets. So it's really not increasing density. And by the way, there's a room downstairs that functions as a bedroom that will no longer be used as a bedroom. So there's no net increase in bedrooms. It has 5 bedrooms now, and it'll have 5 bedrooms when the project, if it is approved, is finished. Just as a matter of information, in terms of raising the roof, the existing garage roof, which is located on the east side of the building, is currently 16.46 feet in height, and it will go to 23.4 feet to height, so it's an increase of just under 7 feet. The main house roof is being raised from 24.85 feet to 28.35 feet, or about 3.5 feet. Obviously, in both cases, we're well under the 35-foot height limitation. And as you can know from driving by this is a corner lot. It's heavily screened. The house that's located to the east across Narrow Lane is set way back from Narrow Lane. There are very high hedges there. When you look directly across the street from this, you have those large lots that are part of the Old Town subdivision. There's a lot of heavy screening in front of them. My suspicion is that massing-wise, you won't even be able to tell, or be able to tell very little that this has changed at all, except we think it'll look better. So it's getting here late. I think the difficulty that we face, I use that term loosely, is given by virtue of the fact that it's a corner lot and the fact that the house is there, and we're luckily able to use the bones of it. I guess the graphic bones of it are still good enough that we can try to modernize it and make it worse, and make it work. So anyway, I think that's about all I have to say at 9:22, if you have any questions. Oh, by the way, I know you sometimes ask about fuel tanks. Turns out there's an oil tank that's in the basement. I understand we may even be converting to gas, but there's no buried fuel tank on the property that would need to be addressed. It's not my most eloquent presentation, but I think I covered most of it.
I don't think you like the house too much.
I'm trying to make it better. It never grabbed me before, and it doesn't grab me now.
Doesn't grab me now.
You're on film.
So if you grant this, it'll grab you?
It'll grab me. Yeah, I made a copy for whatever it's worth of the tax map. And obviously what's most directly affected, the front yard variance, you see what's across the street from it. It's that very large lot of the Old Town subdivision, and then there's also the village, that village
Yeah, the right-of-way's over
right
there.
away there.
Right.
So that's really what's most directly affected by it.
Chain link fence. It's a chain link fence.
Yeah, that's
Or gate.
active construction underway. Right. I could rattle on about the balancing test, but I can do that, but I don't want to take your time if you don't want me to. Pam is happy we got to it at this point because she asked Ferry not to jump around. So I'm glad we. Yeah, the little asterisk shows where the property is. It
Right.
faces across the street.
So you're showing everything that's across the street.
Right, because that's the street, that's the side that we're requesting relief from.
Right.
There's really nothing across the street.
No, there isn't.
No.
You've got a lot of, I guess, the London plane trees and a bunch of sanitary rings and a few other things sitting there right now. And those people will have at least an 80-foot setback from Wicker Park Road, so that should raise your.
And if they had a problem with it, I'm sure they'd be here right now.
I'm sure they would. There's a lot of shrugging going on.
I just,
You
you finished, I just had one question. I heard you make a statement, but I didn't get it down. You mentioned what the increase in height within the required front yard from Wickapog Road is?
Yes, there were two sections, because there's the main house roof was rising, and so was the section over the garage. I can give you those. You want the, I'll give you for the garage, it currently is 16.46 feet, and it would be going to 23.40 feet.
From 16 what?
16.46 to 23.40.
23.40.
Or 6.94 feet increase.
And the main house?
The main house currently at 24.85 feet. To 28.35 feet, which is a 3.5 foot. I rounded, it was, Pam's plan showed it in inches, but I rounded the percentages because it's easier.
Yeah, no, I just wanted the rough figures.
Yep, that's it.
The plans show the increase?
Yeah, the architectural plans do show, if you look at the existing conditions, there's an existing condition set that shows what's there, and then you look at the proposed plans, and you can see them. They're not on the same sheet, but they're on, you have one set of proposed plans. See, this is,
Oh, yeah, I got a sort, okay.
yeah, there are two separate sets. One is existing floor plans and elevations, and the other is proposed.
In here, there's,
Yeah, that's all the existing.
where's the proposed?
The bigger one.
Oh, oh, you gotta look at the bigger one to
Yeah,
see it.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
You gotta
okay.
look at the bigger one.
All right, I got you.
You want a small one? 'Cause Pam's got a small one.
It's small enough though, you need the glasses.
You gotta squint. This one will give you the,
They put the superintendent in there
this one will give
40
you
years
those.
ago, and now the house is worth.
So you've got it there.
Super's get those houses still, or what?
Oh, I can keep this?
Yeah, you can keep it right here.
Counting the land.
I remember that.
It was 1968, 69, 1970.
Whatever it was, he came, right?
It came in 68, I think.
I remember Kurt Gowdy.
67 or 68, or maybe 66.
Did they build it for him or for any supervisor?
It was built for him.
No, it was built for him.
Recruited, huh?
Yeah, he started in 68, I think.
He bought the house. He built it for him, he bought the
I
house.
thought the school board.
No, it wasn't paid by the school.
You never know around here.
Kurt Gowdy used to film Wild World of Sports. I remember
Yeah.
seeing that, where they had the goose hunting and the
Oh, across from that,
Yeah,
that was
right there.
Full of geese.
Right.
It was full of geese.
That's all my questions.
Okay.
All right.
Anybody out in the audience wish to be heard? If not,
She's praying for the last ferry.
Let's adjourn it for, no problem with adjourning it for decision.
okay.
Will we
That's
adjourn
great.
this for decision?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That closes this meeting, June 19, June 2014 of the Southampton Village Zoning Board of Appeals.